Hey guys, what's going on? So I did an interview about 2 weeks ago with a couple guys that I'm really impressed with from Northern California. Both of these guys are active real estate agents. They've been in the business for a while. Both of them are very interested in people leaving California. They have a YouTube channel called Leaving California that they just started recently. They're trying to get it promoted, trying to get more people to watch it. So we're going to have a link to that YouTube channel in the description if you want to check it out. This is an interview that I did with them, and hope you enjoy it.
Jeff, we just had a beast of an interview with none other than Nils Jensen, a fellow YouTuber, to say the least, a fellow agent as well. Chose to leave Southern California and go to a little small town in Idaho. But not just any small town. Small town is growing rapidly with acres of land for probably half the price, if not less. What do you have to say about this, Jeff?
Yeah, I really did like Mr. Jensen. I mean, he was a successful business owner. He owned a motorcycle dealership over in Temecula, California, and he left that successful business because you cannot put a price on happiness. And that's from his own words, and I totally agree with him. He's a successful businessman. I believe in the interview, don't quote me, but he put in a swimming pool just 6 months prior to him selling his place and moving to Idaho. And, you know, I think a lot of people miss that California is nice. No doubt. There's good weather and there are nice places. No doubt. But there are nice places around the world as well. And in this interview, you'll catch all the things that he said. He was very precise of what his what he mentioned, and you know, I really did like interviewing him. It was a breath of fresh air.
Breath of fresh air indeed. No breath of fresh air greater than the great state of Idaho.
Whew, yeah.
But here's the interview. Hope you guys enjoy. Listen carefully to what he has to say because it's a banger of a video. Boom. Let's begin with telling the audience who you are, where you're from, and what do you do for a living?
So my name is Nils Jensen. Right now I am starting a real estate business in Idaho called Idaho Pulse. And what I also do other things. I also do dealership consulting. So I have a dealership consulting business. I used to own a motorcycle dealership for 10 years. And so I have a lot of contacts in the industry. And so just to kind of keep the money coming in, I have that as well. And I'm starting a solar marketing business as well. So I'm starting a bunch of things, just kind of seeing what sticks. It's definitely a different market here. So I didn't really want to continue with the motorcycle business out here. It's a far different market than what I'm used to in Southern California, where I used to live. Totally different demographic of people, different inventory you got to carry, different people have different wants and needs. And my passion is really road racing. I did road racing for about 15 years. And so that was kind of my passion. That's the kind of bikes that I sold. And so it just doesn't work out here. It's just not a thing out here. So kind of moving into a different industry and kind of seeing if I can make it work. So
you mentioned real estate. Are you studying becoming an agent, investing?
No, I'm an agent. Yeah, I have a website and everything. And so I'm actively with a broker in Idaho. So
nice.
Yep.
And what made you want to move to Idaho? And which part of Idaho did you move to?
So we're in the Treasure Valley, they call it. So it's the Boise area. So so my area would be considered the Treasure Valley, which is a fairly good size area. I think we have about 800 and something, close to 900,000 people in the Treasure Valley. And it's the most populated place in Idaho. It's a fairly low elevation. So I think that's kind of what draws a lot of people here, is just the weather isn't as bad as if you go in more to the mountains as far as snowfall. It's fairly mild, you know, it doesn't really stick. So we've only been here for one winter. We've been here for just over a year. So we moved here in August of 21. So we moved to a city called Star, which is about 45 minutes outside of Boise.
Got it. Why Idaho? Why not Texas or Florida, Seattle?
Yeah, that's a good question. We weren't sure where we wanted to go. You know, we checked out. We were trying to stay kind of close because we have a lot of family and friends still in California. So we were thinking of Southern Utah. We were thinking of Arizona. And, you know, we went to Arizona. We didn't really care for it a whole lot, to be honest. You know, it seemed like a nice place and all, but it just seemed like California 2.0 to me, just going there for the little bit that we were there. We went there for the weekend, and it was still kind of like the tail end of, I think it was probably around February or March of 21. And we went there, went to the Phoenix area and checked out Chandler and all that kind of stuff, Gilbert. And it just, we were kind of still experiencing a lot of the same lockdown stuff that we had in California. There was a lot of the same kind of mandates, and it just didn't really feel right to make that kind of move and quit a business and, you know, start over again when you're going to go somewhere that may not be that much better. And a lot of Californians are moving over there, and you may get the wrong kind of Californians, if I could say that. And so we were looking at Southern Utah and didn't really like that much. And then we were going to look at Tennessee, and Texas wasn't really a firm. I didn't really consider Texas a whole lot. I don't do well with humidity. And so didn't really consider that a whole lot. Florida wasn't really on the menu either. And so we weren't even looking at Idaho really. And we had some friends that lived near us and we lived in Temecula for the last 3 years that we were in Southern California. And we had some friends that were just up the street on the same road as us. And they moved to Idaho I think it was at the end of 2020, like in November or October. And so they said they were going to Idaho, and we're like, well, we'll never see you guys again because we're never going to go to Idaho. And so when we were looking around at places to go, they offered to let us stay with them and stuff. And so I said, you know, let's just go check it out. And I did some research on it and liked a lot of the things that I read. And we came out to visit, and we fell in love. We were there over Easter, I think the Easter weekend. So we were there from Friday to Monday, and we just absolutely loved it. So we didn't look at houses or anything. We just kind of looked at the area. We drove around, saw the major areas and stuff. And the housing market was just exploding. So we knew we were going to be in for an expensive move as far as the housing market went. But we ended up finding something that worked for us. And so we're super happy. So.
Nice. And I know you talked about this earlier as we were talking, but what are some reasons you decided to leave California?
So a lot of what came down for us, because I wasn't planning on leaving. Like we had a motorcycle dealership that was successful. We had been there since 2011, so about 10 years. And I had just actually in 2019, I had just extended my lease early because I was going to expand the building and kind of make the showroom bigger. I was hiring a sales manager. I was kind of expanding out and kind of and investing a lot of money and time. And so we started that process in 2019, in the middle of 2019. And then by the end of 2019 to the beginning of 2020, the pandemic stuff went into full swing and kind of put everything on hold. I was like, well, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure if I should even buy any more inventory. And everybody was kind of at a standstill. And then it was just a weird year, just kind of up and down with everything. Sales were really high, but then you weren't supposed to be doing sales. And so we were all kind of flying under the radar, kind of like wondering if DMV was going to shut us down. It's just not a good feeling if you're putting that kind of effort and money and time into a business. You're paying gobs of taxes to the state, and you just see how they squander it. And I wasn't motivated anymore. I love motorcycles. I love my business, but I just wasn't motivated to do it anymore. And so it kind of made it easy to kind of walk away from a little bit. But we had just put a pool in our house in Temecula. We just had it finished in the middle of 2020. And so, you know, it was kind of, all our neighbors were like, what are you doing? We saw you tearing out your backyard just 6 months ago. But it was just one of those things where it's like, you know, happiness, there's no price tag to put on happiness, I think. So for us, it was just kind of just the right time, and we found a way to make it work. So,
yeah. Do you regret making that decision?
No, not at all.
Nice.
I don't even like visiting California. I like going back to visit friends and family. We go back twice a year. We've been going back twice a year in the spring, and then the fall, we're going to go next month for Thanksgiving. So we make it a point to go, but honestly, I don't even I kind of get a little anxiety even just going back, honestly. It's so nice being in Idaho where it's a little more free, and you feel like you're a little bit more insulated, I guess, from things that could happen in the country and things that are happening. So it's nice to have that insulation feeling, at least. Of course, bad things could happen here, but it's far less likely to impact you here. So,
yeah. So is your family, friends planning to move to Idaho as well?
You know, my dad's retired. He's been in San Diego for a long time. He said he would consider it, but I don't think he's going to. I think he's pretty much rooted in. His house is paid for. He's happy. He's happy there, even though he feels the same way I do. You know, he's almost 80 years old. So my brother, can't go because his wife needs to be in some place like Orange County with a lot of Asian food. So he's stuck. And my mom, she loves California, so she won't leave.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So I don't know that anyone's planning on following us. All our friends are pretty, they're not happy where they are, but they're not at the point yet. And we, 4 years ago, if you had told me, if I had told myself 4 years ago I was going to move to Idaho, I never would have believed it. So I think everybody gets to that point, and maybe they'll go somewhere else. Who knows? So
yeah, I agree. So how is life different for you now in Idaho versus California?
There's not as much financial security right now just because I'm building businesses and stuff. And, I spent 10 years building my other business, which, was the main source of income for us. So, it's a little bit, tighter money wise, just because I don't have that security. But I kind of enjoy challenges, and I kind of enjoy building stuff. And so, building a business is kind of like building things. And it's fun to be able to see the growth and kind of see the marketing work and all that stuff. So, I'm enjoying it, although it would be nice to have the income we used to have. But no, we're happy. I mean, all our neighbors are really friendly. I mean, I think I told the story in one of my YouTube videos. We pulled up I had one of those the biggest U-Haul they have with the trailer behind it, and pulled up in front of the house. We bought a brand new house in Star, so the whole community was pretty much brand new. But our neighbors were the first ones to move into our block. And so they had been there for almost 8 months. And I pulled up in the U-Haul and went inside the house, opened the garage door. And by the time I walked back outside, I had 3 or 4 neighbors walking towards me with putting gloves on to come help me unload the truck. And I'd never met them before. And when we were leaving Temecula, I didn't have a single neighbor walk up and help me. So it kind of shows you the difference. I think the mentality here is everybody helps each other. We have like bonfires in the driveways. Everybody kind of just walks up and grabs a beer and sits down and hangs out. It's kind of like camping. People drive around in side-by-sides around the street and dirt bikes with no helmets and stuff. It's a fun environment. Everybody just here is to help each other, and people have a similar kind of expectation, I guess. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't see that in San Francisco at all.
No, no, I don't think you'll see any of this stuff in San Francisco. Yeah.
So why start different businesses at the same time? Why not focus on one?
I am kind of focusing on one. I'm focusing on real estate. That's my main drive right now is real estate. The other one is just to make money, just to pay the bills. I'm not planning on doing anything with that other than that. Once I get real estate kind of rolling, and the solar one is kind of it's a good addition to real estate. So I'm going to kind of use the two hand in hand, because a lot of people don't know who to go through for solar, and they don't know all the ins and outs, and they don't understand how the financing works, and they don't understand how the incentives work and the tax breaks and stuff. So just being someone who's helping someone with real estate and saying you can add solar on, it's kind of like a helping hand kind of thing. So I don't expect to focus on solar as much as just use it as an additional type thing, so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So final question for you.
Yep.
Oh, well, he's gone. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to leave California, but maybe are afraid of doing so?
I think probably evaluating the reasons why you're doing it first, make sure that it's the right decision. I wrestled with it for about 6 months before I finally said, we got to do it. And the reason why is because it's not a decision you can make lightly. I mean, some people can come back. I mean, we had a friend actually that moved to Tennessee at the same time they left, and they just didn't like Tennessee, and they went back to California. And so it's not something that you should definitely rush into. It's just, there's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of money lost. It costs a fortune to rent a truck now out of California, and it's time. I mean, it almost killed me. The move was really tough. I moved my business and my house, and it was just insane how much work it was. So I would say just make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. But if you're doing it for the right reasons and you're really sure that's what you want, I would say definitely do it. I mean, I had never had, once I got settled into the house and I got past the stress of moving, it was a breath of fresh air, kind of talking to people and just being in the environment of being somewhere where you didn't feel like you felt like you could express yourself by kind of it politically, and you didn't feel like you were held down. Like if talking to people who lived here during the pandemic, I think they were really kind of shut down for like 2 weeks at the most, and then it was kind of like back to business as usual, and they didn't lose any jobs. no businesses were lost. I think 40% of all businesses in California, small businesses were lost in California during the pandemic. And so I think actually Idaho had either a net zero loss or a growth. I'm not sure. I can't remember. So it just shows you that there's states that actually had their stuff together and actually put their citizens first and let them make the decisions for themselves. So that's kind of the biggest thing. Just make sure you're going somewhere that shares your values, whatever they are. So everyone's got their own stuff going on. So
Fantastic advice.
Yep.
Jeff, do you have anything to add before we?
No, I mean, if anybody's looking to move to the Treasure Valley area, or at least check it out, we have a website, idahopulse.com. We have a YouTube channel too. So I'm happy to answer questions. I mean, even if it's just, asking how we did it and what we did, I mean, I'm happy to help. So even if I don't get any business out of it, it's just nice to talk to people who are like-minded and kind of want to do the same thing. We went through a lot to do this, and so we've learned a lot. And so there's some things we might have done differently, so we can kind of help you out.
Yeah. And I'll link his channel in the description as well. All his information there.
Right. Yeah.
Jeff, do you have anything to add?
Correct. Well, you know what? I totally respect, as a business owner, the decision you made. You can't put a price to happiness. And I love that because, I'm from California and I'm a businessman. And, when the pandemic happened, I ran to the country. I fell in love with 6 acres outside of the normal San Francisco.
Nice.
And I said, I can't live between walls. How long will this pandemic last? And so I ran to the country, got some goats, got some chickens, got some ducks, and go fishing every day. And
awesome.
And that's what I do, and I still do that. And I don't think I'll ever go back to San Francisco.
Yeah.
But,
where did you go?
I went to the foothills, a place called Loma Rica. It's in Marysville.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, and then it's just I'm surrounded by 5 lakes and I think 4 or 5 rivers: the Feather River, American River, Yuba River, Sacramento River, and I think and the Trinity River or something. But there's a whole bunch of stuff there. But yeah, I mean, I moved out there and it was just, a breath of fresh air, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hear you. And that's
so
one thing. Go ahead.
So that's sort of like the passion of like, what? This is great. And I'm sure if I could get out of California and get rid of my taxes, because I mean, I must have paid like $150,000, $200,000 in taxes every year. And it's like, if I could get out of that and like life would be sweet. And I don't care if I don't make as much money. It's just, I don't feel like I have to hustle every minute of my life to make money. I can just live like how I'm living now in the country, but just in a better state that would be more friendly on the taxes and not always turn my life upside down if I get into a car accident or something that's just going to be, I would wake up with a nightmare, and that's how I feel in California. But
yeah, no, and that's a good point. And one thing I didn't touch on earlier is I didn't realize how beautiful Idaho was. I mean, we lived in California, in Southern California, which we had mountains close by and Big Bear and all that stuff, and Mammoth wasn't that far. But I mean, we're half an hour to an hour away from just the most beautiful landscape. It's just incredible. I didn't realize how pretty it was here in the lakes and the rivers. I mean, it's just awesome.
That's
Fishing,
right.
Hunting. It's just great. So yeah, you touched on a good spot there. So
yeah, that's great. And I just love that. Do you live in like a country setting now? Or
So Star is like kind of like a small farm town, and that was one of my compromises because I wanted to move. It was up to me. I would have moved to the mountains, honestly, and just gotten like 40 acres and lived in a fifth wheel, honestly. I wanted to get away from everything. Yeah, kind of off. But I have a wife that's not into that, and 2 young kids, and they aren't into that. And so my compromise was Star, which is kind of like we have about 12,000, 13,000 people now. I guess it's growing so fast. But it's like a farm town, we have a lot of farming around us, and this place was very, very low population, very small. And there's not a lot of spots for it to grow. I mean, we don't have it's not going to get that big here in Star. And so it's a small town feel. And that's kind of what I wanted, was kind of a smaller town feel. So this is kind of a compromise for me, just kind of the best of both worlds, I think. So
that's great. Well, definitely we probably after this, we could do an interview with you as a realtor, and we could promote your business and everything. Cause we want to network with other agents, and just help them because, you want to promote your business, and you know, we want to promote our channel, and
Sure.
definitely we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks so much. This has been great. Yeah.
Yeah, been fun chatting with you.
Yeah.